Okay, we are now live. Hi, welcome one and all to my second panel discussion. Right now, it's just me and Mike Morton talking about our favorite shelters. We were just talking about knives, but this time we're gonna stay on. Right now, it's just me and Mike Morton talking about our favorite shelters. Let me just mute my YouTube page. Okay, where was I? We were just talking about knives, but this time we're staying on target. Um, One of the reasons I want to have this conversation is because I'm looking for sort of a shelter style to love. Some of you may have this book. I know Zed's got this. Hey, Mike, do you have this book?
I do not. Nope. No, I've never read that.
It's a good book. I haven't read it from like cover to cover, but I've read a lot of the like he goes into a lot of sort of shelter designs that the Boy Scouts used to build, for instance. Because
Mhm.
I think DC Beard was involved in the Scouts some way.
I have heard of that book. I just never read it.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's funny how like a lot of these books, because it's such a niche market, you really pay through the nose for them, even on Amazon. But
Be curious to see what the price was 10 years ago versus now.
yeah,
Probably double.
here's like there's a simple lean-to, right?
Yep.
And like to me, camping has always been a tent, you know. And so I'm curious to try out some new stuff this year, this upcoming year.
I've
Stuff,
pretty much always used tents as well. Even it's just hard to beat in terms of weight and shelter.
yeah,
So I have a Big Agnes Fly Creek UL2.
yeah.
It's like a kilogram.
Have I seen
And
this on your Instagram page at any point?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's about the only tent I've used the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer than mine. I've got like sort of the Canadian Tire Special. I think it's a Coleman or something, 6-person tent. And it works fine. It's a nice tent, but you don't get the 1 kilogram tents unless you spend big. Like how much was your tent again? I
I
think it
bought
was,
it about 3 years ago and it was like $400, but
yeah.
now the dollar has continued to get worse. And like, there's a newer version which is the high volume, so it's a little bit bigger inside. Yeah, amount of come co-op, they're like $600.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think I remember
It's a
asking you about this.
lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, and my tent was like $150, right? I mean, if you want to get that weight down, you spend.
Yeah, because like if that tent, my tent's like what 2.5 pounds or something, and that column one's probably like 10.
Yeah.
So it depends what you're doing. If you're doing long canoe trips, which is what I bought it for, like long distance travel,
Yeah.
then you can't beat it. But if you're only gonna walk for an hour, then who really cares?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
And the one thing I like about it is you can pull out the bug screen
Yeah.
and just use the footprint with the rain cover, and you drop the weight again almost by quite a bit.
Right.
You still use the poles and the fly, but you get rid of all of the mesh in the bottom panel, and there's just a little footprint that it sits on.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Although I don't know, often in the fall and spring I'll just use a tarp, so which weighs even less than that. But bugs,
yeah. That's legit. That's legit. Yeah.
yeah, between what early May to late August, the bugs you just can't do that.
Well, you camp
Not
up
where we
where
are, anyways.
around like there's a lot of black flies where you go, eh?
Oh yeah, black flies for the early part, then mosquitoes for the rest of the year. I just killers.
Yeah. Yeah. I never really have to deal with black flies, but the mosquitoes, man. So like to me, any kind of shelter has to. There's got to be a solution for that. That's why I've been doing tents. That's why I haven't done like a lean-to or like excuse me. You know what Zed is building, right? Or what
Yeah,
Scrambled O built.
yeah.
It's like trying to do that in Quebec and in mosquito season.
No.
No
I wouldn't.
way.
I wouldn't even mess around with that until this time of year is perfect. Cooler at
Right,
night. You just got something over you in case it rains.
Right.
Yeah, the bugs that just kill you. They just carry you off.
And it's funny because in some areas, that's just not a problem. And so you
Yeah,
can get away with like, you can get away with going full cowboy and just unrolling a bedroll under the stars. Like if you're in I don't know, Arizona or something. I don't know. I've never camped in Arizona, but like in much more arid
yeah. You don't
areas,
get
you
bugs,
can.
bugs like that, the flying stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So lucky guys, but we live where we live, right?
Yeah, we also have a more fresh water than just anybody, so it's hard to complain about that either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think. But yeah, I'm hoping that this summer I can try some stuff. I'm trying to find someone with a hunk of land who will let me go and build something like Scrambled Dough has.
Yeah,
And because that'll also give me a place I know I can go to shoot videos, because several of my viewers now have said, dude, you got to get outdoors. You
yeah.
got to pick your game up. And the speed with which I'm picking up new subs has slowed. What the hell? And I think that's the reason. Um,
The Crown Land situation near Montreal.
Apparently, we got tons of crown land in Quebec, but I don't know where it is. In Ontario, you guys have a map. Your government has a map of crown land. Okay, I know where all the crown land is around Ottawa,
Yeah,
but in
Quebec
Quebec,
doesn't have the the land use atlas or whatever.
it's well. First of all, the terminology is different here, right? Because there's no way the Quebec government is going to use the term crown unless it's like the procureur, the lawyers, the crown prosecutors, right?
Yeah,
In a legal setting is the only place you'll see the Quebec government use the word crown, because there's no choice. They use like a different term for, if Simon Forget comes online, he'll tell us what the term is. It's like state-owned land or land in the public trust or something.
I thought that I looked up. I thought that was a Canadian the land use atlas. I thought it was a Canadian website, not Ontario.
If you go to URL at somewhere, let me see, because I might just be looking in the wrong place.
The other option is if you go some libraries, if you just go, they'll have maps, topo maps, and they'll have it on there.
Okay.
I'm sure you can even order them online too.
Simon.
Hey, Jess. Hi, Mike.
How's it going?
Not too bad in you.
Good.
Not too bad. Simon, have you read this book?
Shut and session, please. Is it the one that I got? Nope, not that same.
What do you have?
Haven't. I just.
Oh, Wildwood Wisdom. Okay.
Yep.
This book is the reason I want to have tonight's panel discussion, because
Okay.
I'm thinking of building something if I can find a piece of land to build on this year.
To complement, because I was listening at the video at the broadcast just before joining.
Yeah.
What you need to search for in Quebec, it is called the carte des teneurs.
Carte. Hold on, I'm trying to.
I have no idea how to translate this in English.
One of the words is map.
Yeah. Just type it into the group chat and I'll do a search for it. Because anything.
If I'm able to. Because
Just
the
taking a look.
application just crashed.
Because yeah, within a couple hours of Montreal and going north, you get pretty out of there pretty quick, right?
Yeah, I'm not as quick as you used to, but I mean, there is crown land around here. Hell.
Like for me near Toronto, I gotta go at least a couple hours, maybe closer to 3.
Oof, yeah, here, if you go 3 hours, you are in the bush.
Yeah.
2 hours, you're sort of, maybe in the bush. Like where my hunt camp is is up near La Macasa. It's actually in La Belle. In fact, it's exactly equidistant between La Belle and La Macasa. So it's about 2 hours from here. But there are still like little towns. You know, if you want to hit like Algonquin Park level, you got to go further than that, you know?
Well, I don't know. Algonquin Park is, it's not so much crown land. You can most of it, you can't just go anywhere because it's provincial.
Right.
There are pockets around it, but you got to pay to camp there.
Well,
Yeah.
just like here.
Yeah.
Just
But
type
around
in
there is lots of crown.
just type in the word that you need to search for.
Yeah, I'm taking a look for it, of course, because because my Google is set to English. It keeps coming up with carte des ténèbres. Like that's not what I'm looking for.
Wonderful French to English.
Yeah. Hey, Simon, what kind of tent do you have?
I don't have any tent.
You don't have a tent?
No. I got a tarp.
Oh, we've talked about this, right? You've got a tarp. Mike was saying that he uses a tarp sometimes, depending on his situation.
Yeah, I'm using a tarp. It's an AquaQuest 10 by 13, I believe.
10 by 13, yeah. And you find that that's the right size?
Well, that's the size that I ordered, and that's it.
No, but like, did you order it because you knew that you needed a 10 by 13?
No, actually, I ordered it to get between 2 and 3 people under it comfortably.
Okay, because a lot of guys go for the 10 by 10. So I found
That's
that 10 by 13 was you've got a 10 by 10, Mike?
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of flexibility on how you set it up, but if you have, it's hard to fit two dudes. You can get under there maybe, but 3 people you're not.
If they're too close friends, you can get them under.
Yeah. But even a 10 by 10, even if you're just sitting around a campfire, like 2 or 3 guys, you're starting to fill up that usable space.
Yeah.
It's just a 10 by 10 is really light. I think mine weighs like 500-600 grams or something.
Yeah.
Just looking, just to make sure which size I got.
I'm just putting carte de tenue in the actual in the YouTube chat.
Okay.
There we go. Just so that if anyone comes on, they want to know what we're talking about, or they want to do a search, if anyone wants to come to Quebec to camp, Mike.
This information was, I'm sorry, Mike. This information was given to me by a forest engineer that used to work for the Quebec government. And this is exactly what you need to.
It's funny how many people used to work for the Quebec government.
Well, he's retired now, so.
Well, I don't know if I've shown this yet, but this box here. I was hoping to show this off when there were more people on, but I think people are more interested in talking about knives than shelters.
Hennessy, yeah.
The asymmetrical zip.
That's a nice one.
Came with an extra fly. A couple of these, those water collectors? You stick them on and the water goes into like a plastic bottle so that you don't die of thirst. Stuff sack. Like if you order from Hennessy.com, you get way more stuff than if you go to Mountain Equipment Co-op. And a sticker.
I've never tried a hammock before. I'm sort of interested, but I have everything to sleep on the ground, so I don't really want to buy a whole nother set of stuff.
Well, especially because, let me tell you, this sure as hell wasn't affordable. I was ordering. I was like, okay, great. But what I don't know why I didn't notice this, because I noticed this kind of stuff. The price, like the flag at the top was American.
Yep.
So no problem, $198 or $195 or whatever, Click, do, go on with my life, get the facture, my credit card bill.
Yeah.
$230. I'm like, wait, what? It's just because I'd missed that little flag, and it even like said, US dollars or whatever. I don't know. I got to get more sleep in my life, But yeah, because at like 195, I was like, oh, if I don't like this, it's going to be expensive. But it was like cheap enough that I could justify just trying it out, doing a couple of videos on it.
195 US to 230 Canadians.
It was like 228 at that point. I bought it. I've bought it like 8 months ago. The dollar was tanking at the time, so.
Well, but it's even a good conversion rate.
Yeah.
I was expecting to get something big with a larger difference than that.
Well, it depends on the month, right? I mean, we've had some good months and some bad months. But I'm looking forward to trying it. I think I may have to get, that little, like a pad to go under me if I'm, if I go in early spring or like late fall, but.
An under quilt.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But I definitely want to try just building a lean-to or something, Have you guys been watching Scrambled O?
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't think I'm caught up, but.
All right, well, because that shelter that he's been building forever, he's come up against a problem in that he's surrounded by ash trees.
Yeah, just like all of Eastern Canada.
And so the problem that ash trees represent, right? So he's surrounded by dead trees, widowmakers. So he's like, well, this shelter ain't going to be around for long. But he's decided that, like when he started to build that shelter, it wasn't to spend months and months building a oh, hold on, Tyler is here. He didn't expect to spend months and months building this thing. He was like, when he first started, he was going to build a quick shelter to have a place like as a base camp. And he said that he doesn't have the heart to do it all over again when a tree falls on his shelter, But I like his shelter. Like, part of me wants to build a shelter kind of like his, though maybe not surrounded by ash trees or pines. When you take out ashes and pines, you're running out of places in Quebec to stick your lean-to. Gets surrounded by maples, I guess. But yeah, I want to try that. I'm just going to check our YouTube page here and see if we're missing. Grandpa's Place asks, so maps of tenure meaning held by the state. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I thought that they called it something de l'État or something, or a terrain public or whatever, but Grandpa's Place. One thing I learned about traveling to Canada, don't joke with the border guards about staying. They don't take it as a joke. That is the truth. Yeah. In Canada's defense, though, there's a lot more stuff that American border guards don't like to hear, as I have found out on many a trip. So,
Well, I've done something a couple of years ago that I shouldn't have to, so, while crossing to US.
Am I going to ask this? Do I want to ask this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell it quickly because it's not on subject for tonight, but I got to hear it.
I've been asked by a
the customs guy.
Yeah, the border agent. Have you never been arrested?
Yeah.
And my answer was not yet.
That's not the way to answer that at all.
To my defense, I didn't knew what happened, but a couple years afterwards, I learned that a guy with the same name as me was actually searched for murder in the U.S.
Okay.
While I was working for public safety agency in Canada. So they
That's awkward.
they wanted to know which one which one it was.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So
Hey,
no, never do this.
right. Now, by the way, Simon, you know a guy who owns some land, right?
Yep.
So do you ever go camping on his land with your tribe?
That's funny because I did not camp on his land because it's just like an hour 15 minutes from here, from my house.
Okay.
So I'm getting back and forth. But speaking of shelter, we did actually build a shelter there.
Okay. What was it like?
Can I share a picture?
I hope so. Was it like because like I've built uh you know I'm trying to translate the English like a deer blind. I've got a semi-permanent deer blind up at LaBelle. Made it out of plywood and scrap 2x4s. But that kind of doesn't count, right? I mean, you sit there and you fall asleep and the deer walk by, then you go home feeling bad that you didn't get anything. Story of my life right there.
Yeah. No, I cannot share the picture straight. Anyway, we built basically a Belvedere, which is 4 10x10s with a roof on top of it, 9 feet in the air.
Okay.
And the whole thing is maybe, I don't know, 8x14.
Okay.
With a kind of a big base. And we did it on our own. Well, 2 guys did it basically on our own. So the whole thing was actually built without any power tools.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. But was it like lumber or did you just use found wood? I mean, the 10x10s obviously that was lumber that you bought, but
Actually, it is. There were some trees that were milled, but they were milled from trees that were cut on site.
interesting.
With a small wood mill.
I need one of those.
They're freaking expensive.
Yeah. Well, Lee Valley sells a
Alaskan.
yeah, that you stick the chainsaw in. That's kind of, if I had money, that's probably what I would get, you know?
Well, I'm cheaper than that, so that's fine.
You're cheaper than that, but you've got so many tools and axes and draw knives and backpacks and stuff,
I got stuff, but I've run a kind of Alaskan mill for a while, and it was basically to threaded bars with a wood plank.
Oh, like you did it yourself, a DIY.
Yeah.
Because that would open up the shelter options in some ways. The thing is, I like the aesthetic. I don't know about how you feel about this, Mike, but I like the aesthetic of the shelter made up of dead standing wood that you found, and like nothing matches. There are breezy little cracks between the logs, this and that. You've made maybe there's a tarp on the frame, or maybe you did it with like boughs from a fir tree or something. But like, it just looks so ghetto, and I like that,
It looks cool.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be perfect, so why try?
Right, exactly,
The other thing is,
As long as it keeps the rain out.
If you want something to get more permanent at the end, like 4 seasons,
yeah,
I'm not sure about the dead standing tree thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like one of these like ghetto shelters it's not a 4 seasons thing, I don't think. Like, especially
Especially here in Quebec and Ontario.
in Quebec, where it hits -40. Hey, Mike, how south are you? You're near Mississauga, right?
Yeah, I'm two towns over, Burlington.
Yeah, so you're further south than we are, I think, by a little bit.
Yeah, probably Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah, because like on a bad winter day here, it doesn't often, but it can hit like -38, -40 when you work in the wind chill. So like, if I'm going camping in February, I don't know, I won't. I haven't since I was in the Royal Canadian Air Cadets, just because it was just too freaking cold. But like, I would want something like one of those prospectors tents with the wood stove inside.
I've used those a
Have you?
bunch of times. Like some friends have them. They're good, but you can't night, right? You can't just let it burn the whole night.
No, because I guess
Well,
because
you have to get up every hour to put more wood in.
yeah.
Yep.
You really shouldn't let it burn in case the pipe and you all die of carbon monoxide.
Okay, I hadn't thought of that, but I should have. Interesting, and they're heavy,
So,
eh? Because they're canvas.
yeah, they're heavy. They're usually like,
Yeah.
including the stove, maybe more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I've
would.
used those a couple times, and like it is nice during the day. You can get it to the point where you're wearing a t-shirt and you're hot.
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah,
go to bed,
definitely.
you can have it. You just crank that bad boy before you go to bed, and it'll be 2 or 3, 4 hours before it's ambient. So your sleeping bag starts warm, you start warm. So it is an advantage for sure, especially if you're going to be like a week long and minus whatever,
And like four
like
guys.
standing on the ground.
Yeah.
Something that you may look into if you're really interested is an old Canadian Army surplus Arctic tent.
Yeah.
Those are pretty much
Yeah.
indestructible.
Well, and in fact, that's what we used to use in cadets in the winter, right? You'd have this
Yep.
Arctic tent, and then you'd pack the snow up
Yep.
around it. Yeah. Yeah.
There's at least 2 surplus around Montreal that carries them.
Are they expensive?
Let me check quickly.
Because, like, I mean, those prospector tents, those are expensive. I mean, Mike, you got a couple of friends who own them. I don't know anyone who's got that kind of money. Or no, that's not the right way to say it. I don't know anyone who's got the kind of money earmarked for that kind of activity.
Go winter camping like 2 or 3 times a month to make it worth your time.
Yeah.
And actually, the best way is to have, so I don't have to carry it or own it or whatever. I can just go. I can use it. It does make a big difference. You can get out of the about a year and a half ago, and it never got any warmer than -10. Like during the day, that was the warmest. And I was wearing a fleece jacket the whole rest of the weekend. That was it. Never had to go full winter coat because you'd be outside, or whatever, hiking. You heat up, and you come back and you sit in the tent. And you're in there in a t-shirt.
Yeah. See, that's the kind of stuff that I like about those things. I mean, look, I'm not going to win the lottery this weekend because I forgot to buy my ticket, but I would have. But like, that's the kind of thing that if I have a lot of money, I'm buying one just in case, kind of thing, because I would love to start winter camping, but I'm not going to take my family winter camping in that silly little Coleman tent we've got. It's just not going to be warm enough.
You'd be miserable.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the thing. So, yurts?
Just go rent a yurt.
Yeah.
Some of the provincial parks here have them. I'm sure some of yours do too, or there's private ones.
And you know what? Parks Canada's got this really cool kind of half tent, half cabin in a lot of the parks. Have you seen those?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's
okay. That
wood
is
on the base, and the top is canvas. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of bunk beds, a table, and a wood stove. What else do you need? And usually they come with wood too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that you could keep it warm in there all night. It's a permanent thing, right? You're not so worried about the wood stove leaking or melting. That's the problem with one of those canvas tents. The ground's all soft, right? So the stove can shift and.
Right. I would put down like say some 3/4 inch ply a little bit bigger than the stove, because it's going to be on feet, right? Oh, wait a minute. I'm not going to put wood under a wood burning stove.
And yeah, you're gonna carry that. Even a 2x2 piece of 3/4 inch ply might weigh 20 pounds. You're gonna carry that all the way in,
Yeah.
or whatever it weighs. Usually, you can put a couple of pieces of green wood or whatever. Or if the snow is not too thick, you just put it right on that. But yeah, that's all issues, right? You can get melt and ice,
Yeah.
or you can, like, if you're not careful, you can burn stuff. Like, I had a brand new pair of merino socks that all of a sudden you're like, "What's that smell?" It was my socks melting.
No, not the
But
merino.
it was like a $15 pair of socks. Not a big deal, but if you could easily wreck a couple $100 sleeping bag or whatever, right?
Yeah. I think, but for me, one of those prospector tents, the deal there would be, I'm not gonna haul it into the bush on my back. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'll drive in my fancy Jeep or something. I'll carry it like a little bit into, but like I'm not gonna hike like 5 or 6 kilometers in with this thing on my back. I might go a click.
Put it in the sled.
Yeah, or put it on a sled or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, most of them are probably like 60 pounds with the stove. So you just put it in the sled and you pull the sled.
Yeah, and but yeah, I haven't been winter camping since cadets, and in fact, so they were all like, you strip down in your bag so that you're not creating layers and creating sweat and everything, and our squadron warrant officer, no, the 2IC, the second in command, she just didn't listen, man. So of course, 3 a.m. She had to be medevaced for hypothermia. It's like they told us this, And some fool always.
Yeah, it seems like a great idea to throw every piece of clothing you own on. But...
Yeah, but you can't do that,
I do like winter camping. There's no bugs. There's a lot of advantages. I need to get a proper winter sleeping bag. I'm tired of just putting 2 -5 bags together and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, a good winter bag is expensive though.
Yeah, $400 or $500 for sure. Especially if you're planning on carrying it. If you're just gonna drive it, then yeah, you can get synthetic ones that are not half that. But yeah, if you want to move it, -31, yeah, you're like $400 or $500. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially for the amount of times that I go winter camping. Rent a hotel room for 3 or 4 nights.
Well, but that's kind of okay. They're Bear Grylls, but that's the thing there. Like it all depends on how often you go. If you're someone who spends all his he's out there at least once a month and loves and then you can kind of spend some money. But if you're someone who goes twice a season, maybe, then suddenly it's like, well.
I'll probably go to Mac and rent their equipment at the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you had good experience?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because I've never done that, but I've been curious about it. Like sometimes you go to rental places and you get stuff that's like, wow, this has been used up and it's missing parts.
Well, so Mountain Equipment Co-op carries good stuff, and they're not only members are invited to take good care of it, but also they are doing their job and inspecting everything in and out.
They're pretty good, eh?
Yep.
Yeah. I should probably not worry so much, but I do love to worry.
Okay, take that rental stuff on Friday, mount it, and just
to see,
inspect it, then advise.
It's not a bad idea, eh? The Mountain Equipment Co-op here is it's a lot closer to me than it is to you. But
I do have one close to me as well.
Oh, I keep forgetting because the only one I ever think about is the one up in Marché Central.
Yep.
Yeah.
For your information, Mike, I'm South Shore of Montreal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that you guys don't totally know each other. But yeah, Simone lives just across the working bridge,
The one that refused to fall.
The one that's not falling down.
Yep.
Is
Victoria
that René
Bridge.
Levesque? No.
It's the Victoria Bridge has been standing for what,
Okay.
160 years or something? No, not that long, but it's been standing for.
Well, close to. It was
Because it was
built
for
originally in 1860.
okay. It's been standing fine ever since, and it'll stand another 100 years with no problems. Meanwhile, Champlain, they're replacing it because the idiot who
That's
designed it didn't think about winter salt. So this concrete bridge has been slowly being eaten away by the winter salt. And
yeah, because
so,
we for work we're in Montreal once every year, and we're coming from New Brunswick, so that's Champlain. That's the bridge I'm thinking. We go across there, and they were doing major construction this year.
well, they had to do some major structural work just to keep it from falling because it was literally falling down. But now they're building a new one right next to it.
Yeah. They're gonna double it up, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think
Mike,
they're going to knock down the old Champlain at some
Oh,
point.
they-
Oh, okay.
yeah, they will. But Mike, you can now avoid Montreal entirely by getting onto Highway 30.
30?
Yep.
Yeah, and we do that on our way. So we drive from Toronto, and the first night we go to Quebec City.
Okay.
And that's the way we go. We pay the toll and skip Montreal. But on our way back, we come from St. John. And by the time we get to Montreal, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock, and we're done anyways. So we figure why not go in there and have, stay for night, go for dinner or whatever.
Yep. St. John. Jeez, that's been a while that I got there.
Yeah, there, if you drive 10 minutes, you can make your shelter on ground.
That's funny because I used to live close to Rivière-du-Loup.
Yep.
And from Rivière-du-Loup, if I had a service call in Moncton, I would do it straight back and forth same day. So 5.5 hours straight drive through Moncton, do my service call, then got back to Rivière-du-Loup right after. And I've done
it's not that far. It's still a bit of a commute, but it's not that far.
I've done it several
New Brunswick.
Same things as Caracat or Edmundston is like an hour. So
yeah, but the nice thing about being in that part of the world is just what Mike said. I drive an hour and suddenly I can pitch my tent or hammock or whatever.
You just have to drive about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Basically what you need.
Yeah.
Well, and like in New Brunswick and a lot of places, there's ATV trails that just run right across there, like main, like Highway 20 for you guys, or 401 or whatever. It's just we don't get that.
I'm sorry, but it's New Brunswick, so.
Are we insulting parts of the country here?
Let's put it that way. A province where the hunting season for both moose and deer is 4 days in a year, and both are simultaneous.
I didn't know that.
During that weekend, you don't want to be in the forest at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was doing my hunting license, the guy who was teaching the course, he said that he used to hunt on Crown land, but he doesn't anymore because he was up in his his tree stand.
Mm-hmm.
He got up, he got set up. He heard a Simon, was that your cat?
Yeah, as usual.
And
let me kill her, and I'll get back to you.
I never know if he's being serious or not. So he said he heard a rifle, but then he heard like.
Stacé,
Yeah, c'est assez là. Terminé là, le chat. So he heard this bullet go zinging past his ear. Not that he was being shot at, but that people out there were there were too many guys. So he just got his stuff, went home. Was like, okay, forget it. And he hasn't hunted Crown land since. and I guess I wouldn't either. But I'm not looking for, like, in hunting season, I'm not going to the forest unless I'm going,
I've been, I've
hunting.
been, I've been
But,
shot at during hunting season.
well, that's the thing, it's too dangerous. You're wearing a blaze orange vest and they don't see it. They think you're a moose. It's like, no.
No, actually, they were sending warning shots to us.
Oh.
Pod growers.
Oh, okay.
Is that at Sunnyvale Trailer Park?
A little CanCon conversation here.
Yep.
Okay, guys, I gotta go to bed. Sorry to interrupt, but
all right,
I gotta get up early. So,
all right.
Sorry I missed it on the end, but good luck.
Okay, see you, Mike.
See you guys.
Yeah.
LT Survival is watching. LT. I just put the link for the hangouts in the chat. There's a couple of people watching, but Joe is at work in Brisbane. Grandpa's place. He's off to bed. Good night, Grandpa. I was saying earlier that people, come out of the woodwork when you're talking about knives or axes, but when it's shelters, people, I guess, don't feel that they've got anything to add. Although, Simone, you thought you had nothing to add, and actually you've been pretty interesting, so I don't know.
Something that you may look into, especially if you're owning tarps.
Yeah.
There's some cool origami-like patterns that you can do with tarps that are quite effective, actually.
Really?
Yep.
See, remember, I'm still looking for the right tarp, right? Because I want something that's light but strong. I bought a tarp off of eBay last year from, like, I think Thailand or something, and it was really weird. Like, it was camouflage and it had all this print on it, like faux army symbols and stuff. There was like United States Marine Corps, but it was like an arrow on the moon or something, like, I don't know. But one of these symbols was the Nazi eagle with the swastika under it. So I was like, I can't take this out. I don't want someone seeing this and thinking that, So thank the gods it was only like a $10 tarp or something, but it's sitting in the garage and I'm not taking it out. And you know what? I should do a video on it.
Yeah.
It's dead affordable. There are some problems, like it needs a few grommet holes in it for extra tie downs, but
which we can already fix. It's not an issue.
Yeah, that's easy to fix. But it's just that it's in the garage. I'll go and get it at some point. I'll go and get it at some point and do a video on it. And
Don't forget, you still owes us a video on that cool steel Canadian blade.
Yep.
That you borrowed from a weird guy.
A really weird dude. Yeah. Yeah, that's coming up too. It's tough to get any time because, like, my wife's away until Friday morning. So then when she's here, I can't really take any time to shoot videos. So, like, just trying to get something done is a chore. Actually, I have something shot, but I didn't edit it. But yeah, like December 21st, she's back full time. I got to find somewhere to get some videos in before that because there's no way. There's no way I'm waiting that long. Just checking the time.
At this point, this is what is planned still. It can be sooner, it can be later. So.
Yeah. LT Survival is trying to join. I don't know what the issue is. LT, what kind of difficulties are you having? Is my link not working? Because I tell you what, he's probably got some interesting stuff to talk about. I think he works with Army cadets. I think he's a lieutenant in the Army. I think it's Army cadets. I'm just checking the chat. We're good. Oh, his computer. Oh, no. Must be a Windows problem. Where's that book?
I'm not gonna pull fuel on that fire. So
No.
nope, not getting into that Windows versus Linux versus Macs.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
There was something I wanted to show you in this book. It's funny because this book, some of these are like really, temporary lean-to kind of things.
Yep.
Some of them are like, here's one that's an Axeman's camp. Okay. You see how,
Yep.
but then there's stuff that, requires you to dig under the ground at like really permanent shelters,
I don't mind. Oh, somebody just joined.
That's Louis. Okay.
Hey, guys.
That's, hey,
In my phone.
in your phone. Okay.
From your phone, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Hey, but you're on, and that's what counts.
I might have to hold it though. Jesus. I don't have a tripod with me.
No? Okay. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm actually a lieutenant in the military. I was a
Okay.
lieutenant with the Vendus, but now I'm with the cadets. So I'm going to the forest once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So every season, basically, we'll go in October. We'll go in February or January, end of January, February, and then we'll go in the spring. So
And you're up somewhere near Quebec City, right?
yeah, actually, I'm in Montreal, but that's for work, and usually I'm in Quebec City. Yes.
Okay. Because like down here, when I was in cadets, my squadron, air cadets, my squadron went to Rigaud. There's like a big sand pit.
Yeah.
And we could set up like whatever 8 or 10 of those. The Canadian Forces winter tent.
Yeah, the 5-man or the 10-man tents.
Yeah.
Now we use mainly 5-man tent because with the kids, it's easy to pack them up to 10, 11. So
Yeah.
with me sleeping in the doorway, usually having a big drop coming into the tent. Yeah.
Yeah. Good times, right?
Getting old for that though.
Reminds me of my own time with the cadets, but also as an instructor with the cadets as well. So
Oh, you did?
Yep.
In which part?
done Sea Cadets near Joliette, well, in Joliette.
Okay.
And I used to be an instructor at Army Cadets in Rivière-du-Loup.
Okay.
Yep.
So you did both sides. I did Rimouski when I was cadets. Started in Rimouski and then moved to Quebec City with my father. He was a SQ policeman, so we had to move. So it was our time. Had great times though.
Had a great time too.
Yeah.
What made you guys choose? Oh, this is getting off topic, but let's have a very quick combo about this. Because what made me choose the Air Cadets was simply because I would have probably preferred the Sea Cadets because I'm into boats and I'm not really into flying. But I had some friends in the Air Cadets, and I knew no one in the Sea Cadets. So that's what made me choose. In fact, that's what made me choose the squadron I went to. In fact, well, no, my first squadron was 588 Canadair, which has a different name now because Canadair no longer exists. But that ended up being too far to go because it's out in the airport. So then I went to number 1 West Montreal, which is just in Westmount because I had a couple of friends there.
Yeah.
Is that sort of the same as you guys, or you were just like, man, got to wear a beret,
No.
got to,
At 12 years old, I wasn't ready to go to cadets, but one of my friends joined, and he joined the Army Cadets, and the argument was, well, we'll be shooting C1 rifle.
Wow.
I was hooked. And the first day I joined in, it was funny because I basically said, yeah, I would, and my parents had to come to sign in, and so we say, okay, go take the course with the others and have fun tonight. So I walk out, we have first aid course, and then the next course, we walk out to the armory, get the C1 in our hand, walk back into the classroom, and started stripping the damn thing. And that was it.
That was
Stayed
it.
the whole 7 years. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on my part, I didn't have choice because the only unit was a Sea Cadet.
Okay.
But funny fact is that Sea Cadet has full guards on parade,
Yeah.
like 100 mans, not only 2 flag pickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were using C1s as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had the drill weapons, which was basically a chunk of wood, a former 22 long rifle weapon, which they removed from the program
Yep.
because of the law in Quebec, which prohibits you to have anything that has the shapes or the of a form of a weapon into a school, which most cadet corps
Yep.
are.
Yeah.
So,
And National
and they
Defense
removed it
didn't
from,
bother. Didn't
yeah, they
bother if
removed
it
them
was
from
a.
them all.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
Only
just
in
removed
Quebec.
everything.
Yeah, even sword.
Yep. Well, the Navy still has their sword.
But like,
Yeah, very limited.
my squadron met at the Royal Montreal Regiment, right? Like, a lot of other cadet corps do meet in schools or gymnasiums or whatever, but we were lucky in that we met, well, at this point, I've been out for 20 years. I mean, I don't know what they use, but like, I know for range, they've switched to air rifles now,
Yes,
right?
yes, we are.
Yeah. But I mean,
Well,
it's neither here nor there. I mean,
we're an armory and we're not allowed to drill with weapons, so
okay. Okay.
because of the program and the kids and whatever.
Yep.
Right.
So it's a big debate, but they're reintroducing in instruction as possibility to get the training on a C7 and even shoot it if your unit, your affiliated unit, is willing to spend the money to do so.
Okay.
They have no allotment for ammo or anything, which bottom line is going to be resumed to best shitty chance in hell to get to a range. So
right.
But at least it's back in the program. So
yeah, I'm just sort of
as for shelter.
Hold on, I'm just looking over the chat and making sure we didn't miss anything. Yeah, you've got to have all kinds of stuff to talk about shelters. I mean, your videos are pretty, pretty wide ranging.
Well, the main shelter we use as a made to measure or made with what we have is the hutchies, which basically is our 2 ground sheets zipped together and put in between trees. That's the mainstay of the cadets shelter. It's a very easy 2-man. Each one carry a ground sheet. We build the we used in our time. We used to do the poncho motels. It's basically the same thing, except the ground sheets are rectangular with triangle pieces, which makes an A-frame tent.
Yep.
The other one we do lean-to when we can, but rarely we'll cut down trees. So because of conservation of forest and everything, once in a while we put the ground sheet on. I did that on winter. I had my small video on the winter sleeping. By -18, we had a U formation on 3 lean-to, multiple people in the lean-to, and with a big fire in the center, and we were very cozy. So winter or summer, it's a very easy way of doing it.
Okay.
I don't have any.
And we go to the extensive also snow hut. Basically the
Quincy's?
The Quincy's.
Yeah.
Basically you stack up snow and then you dig in, and so it's very time consuming, though I find it as a survival shelter being very energy and time consuming.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't want to be using up too many calories, right?
Yes, if you were in a survival situation anyway.
Yeah.
As a training aid, that makes for a larger igloo or trench. We use the trench a lot also.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but the big problem we have is we cannot go forage for brush to put in the bottom of the pit. So we're always using ground sheets.
How come you can't forage for brush?
Because the well, we can't cut any trees, anything. So if we go into territory that's a civilian one, we'll strip all the trees of their branch, and they ain't gonna like it.
Yeah, I get that.
So we use and we don't get the comfort of the branch that we could have in the bottom of our pits, but at least we get the model done.
Yeah.
So learn how to think about how they're going to make it. And sometimes we enter a situation. One year we had like 4 inches of snow on the wall on the ground.
Yeah.
To do a trench, you need like 16.
60. Yeah, more than that.
So we had to build walls, like we would do a Quincy.
Yeah.
Accumulate snow and then dig in. Was not that great of a success, but it worked. But it was lots of work. I mean,
yeah,
they worked all day. They were.
I'm glad because I never had any restrictions on whatever ground we used to camp on cutting trees or even limbing trees in the past. We had to do it, so we just did it.
Yeah, we used to. Today's everybody's conscious of their environment thing. They don't want you to use a living tree, and if you make a video and you've used a living tree, even though it's an underbrush, they'll comment pretty hard on you to not do so. So everyone is a environmental police, and everyone is checking everyone. And you should see some of the new course that we have in the cadets. It's amazingly boring.
Now,
I'm not sure if I want to get down that route anymore.
No, but did you guys see what the hell's her name? Survival Lily? Her recent video about that?
I saw the title. I didn't have time to watch. Yeah,
I did saw it.
I don't quite buy her argument, but I mean, she did sort of say that, look, if any of you guys were actually watching, you'd see that I was chopping down dead standing wood. She goes into why it would be okay to chop down green anyway, and I can sort of see what she's talking about. And you know, she did go to school for forestry, but the logic is a little skewed. But I just find it interesting that people see you chopping down something like this and automatically think it's a living tree. It's like, if you've been in the forest, not everything standing is alive.
No,
I don't want to get too far with this, but people really don't know where meat in their plate are coming from, and don't understand neither that the house they lived in, the lumber that been made to build it, were standing living trees at the end.
At one point, yeah.
No, they were, because you're not cutting down a dead tree to make a house.
No. Well,
it's okay.
It's the same thing as people will put, beef in their mouths, but they don't want to kill a cow, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But you're right. We don't want to go too far into this because,
it's infinite.
Yeah, exactly.
But coming back to shelter, I mean, if you had to survive, I mean, everything is open. Then be my guest. Keep the dead standing tree for your fire, and use a green one for your shelter. And the green one is going to be as good. It's probably be better if you do a shelter with the green one, because it'll be flexible. So if you use small diameter, you'll be able to intertwine the branch to make support for your. It makes your life easier because you're working with branch, but that's me, and we make a video saying that we probably would acquire a lot of flack about it. And but shelter, I mean, the first priority for your survival, and that's the course I did teach last week, and I'll be teaching next Friday, to the cadets is the enemy of survival and the priority of survival. We still use the stop, and in the stop, I've intertwined the plan HAM and the survival keyword from the American book, and with that, it covers everything. It covers your house from A to Z, and you can judge the situation to make yourself survive. And one of them is to protect yourself, whichever means. I mean, if you were to find a camp in the forest, why bother constructing something? Break a window, go in, and worst come to worst, 3 months later, when you're found and you have the money, repay the guy.
Yep.
Yep.
They'll rather see you eat inside, have a fire, than find a corpse at this doorway.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Fully agree with this.
That's very true. That's very true. But LT, do you only go in the forest with the cadets, or do you ever go out sort of solo?
I try to have the time, but I have no access to forest part. Right now, Crown Land, I have to have the time to get in. Unfortunately, my schedule's been way too busy, and I'm trying to do some diving also into that. So vacation, I take. That's why video has not been up to par in the late year, because no access to any land, and it's very far from Quebec City sometimes to get to land. Not that you cannot get into forest for a day, but to be worthwhile, the access is kind of complicated. Yeah. And with cadet filming at the same times, then we go into does the military will authorize the video to be published? Some picture once in a while, not showing the cadets itself because they're 12 to 19, so the kids and everything. So it's problematic. That's why I use the backyard a lot and the parks around, so that I can shoot a video quickly. Lately, I'm in an apartment in Montreal, so parks around are not that close and easy to get to. So it's been crazy.
And how long are you in Montreal for?
Probably until at least June next year for work. It's a position that was open for work for 1 year at least. And if we're renewed with the contract we're in, that could prolong to 5 years.
Okay. Which
is interesting, but the weekend usually I go back to Quebec City, family, and cadet program also. I haven't decided if I would let go of the cadet program at this time. So.
Interesting. Okay. Because my question was going to be, what kind of shelter do you use when you're solo? But hey, actually, that brings. We were talking about this before. I keep looking for Crown Land in Quebec, right? But like they don't have that. You know the map that Ontario has.
Yeah. But so like, anywhere that has an hydro line, the forest on each edge usually is public land. The problem is the local. We did enter at Mont Saint-Anne, around Mont Saint-Anne with the cadets, and we walked the hydro line and we slept in those woods. It was perfect, but there were trails for bikes all around, so we could have encountered local. I'm an adult. We were at least 2, and we had like 12 cadets. Some of them were like shape of an adult also, so not much of a problem. But there's bear also.
Yeah.
Close by to the city, so adventure in that type of land. That could be done. That could be done. The problem is you have to cross some private land usually to get in, and around Mont Tremblant you can go in through the camping, which is kind of a wild camping, which they'll allow you to do so depending on the hour you're passing through. We did so with the cadets because we emerged at one point for a bridge and went back in further down. They didn't mind, but some places, the place we entered first, we were at the end of a private road house. We scoot in the back at night, not on lights, and we went in. The owner probably saw us on get off the bus, big yellow bus, but he didn't mind, and we were kind of very disciplined to get through the farther edge of his property to the public land. So we didn't hear about him. We met a couple along that hike. That was the 18-kilometer hike I did with the cadet, and we had to we did it 2 years in a row in different position, and we met some landowner saying that we were with the Army cadets. Well, usually you find an old cadet there that says, "Hey, why don't you pass?" And they didn't mind, but there is public land, but it's very, very usually it's isolated through private house. There's very restricted access. We did that same thing at Mont Saint-Sacrement, and one part of the land that had good trails was in between houses, enclaved in between houses, 180 degree, and the mountain was in the back, and it was cliffed.
Yep.
So how did you get to that land? But everybody else was an owner of the surrounding property, but you didn't have any public access to that central part, which basically became their recreation area.
So frustrating.
Recreation area because there's no public access.
Just be careful with the power lines, because they are no longer all the time on public land.
Well, yeah, but that one was. It was going towards La Malbaie.
Okay.
So, Petite Rivière Saint-François. So
Yeah, the
access was on private land.
Yeah, the old lines are, but newer lines like for 25 or 30 years that were built 25 to 30 years ago. Some of them are just a way of service, and that's it.
Yeah. The usually there's kind of a semi-arid trail there, which is easier to walk than in full bush.
Yep.
So many people use that as hiking trail.
Yep.
And usually owners of land are either closed or open to you to access that part, either because bad or good experience with the hikers. The land we used was at the end of the trails for the Mont Saint-Anne, and it was going to a scout camp that was like 12 kilometers away in straight line, but it wasn't a straight line to get in. So we made 18 that day. So it was nice. It was really nice hike. If I was to go to the bush, I would either bring a tarp, any Canadian Tire cheapo tarp, or the ground sheets. The ground sheets are heavier though.
Yeah.
But if I was doing a solo, probably use an 8x10 cheapo tarp that would last probably the trip and not much more. So.
Right. Yeah, because what I was kind of hoping that someone who had a lot of experience with multiple kinds would come on and say that why he would say prefer a tarp or prefer to build a lean-to, or because I don't know what.
Yeah. Well, for portability, tarps are always easier, because if you have a good quality tarp like the ground sheets, you can string them by the eyelet.
Yeah.
You don't need a rope that goes straight through both trees. You take the eyelets, tighten them up, and they'll be as taut as if you had a rope underneath. Yep. That's an easy way, fast way to build a camp.
Yeah.
A tarp is always better because it's built camp with. If you're making a lean-to every time you have to sleep, so that means you have to take at least 1 or 2 hours, if you're lucky.
Finding wood.
Find woods to build, to assemble. Then the trees, you have to choose them the right orientation because of your wind.
Yeah.
So it can be problematic. And fire most of the time you can't.
This is not exactly light. It's not heavy, but it's not exactly light. you know, a tarp is going to be a lot lighter than that.
Yeah.
You know?
The ground sheets are pretty much a pound. I would say at least a pound each.
If not 2.
So that's 2 pounds for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not that easy to fold to fit in your pack, so they're bulky too.
But you don't have the same problem trying to find the trees in the right alignment, right? Because there's one thing about this hammock, you got to find 2 trees that are about the
Yep.
right distance, right?
Yep.
Yep.
You know, when you're just sort of throwing up a little, you know, put a stick and a couple of ground sheets or something, you don't have to worry about that.
And the tarp, you can improvise any shape you wish. You might not sleep in between the tree, but perpendicular to this tree, because you'll make a very narrow lean-to, and that'll be as efficient in the summer as most of the time. And the only time we sleep along a fire is to keep the heat on our body. So that would be in winter. But if you have a sleeping bag, then you can do the perpendicular, keep your head towards the fire to keep the blood in the head well heated up, and then your feet is easy to warm up.
Yeah.
So it's there's many ways. There's no right way and there's no wrong way as long as it works. There's some more efficient than others. If you didn't have any sleeping bags, you were sleeping on the ground, well, go parallel to your fire and have a fire.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
as far as I'm concerned,
say what?
As far as I'm concerned, I chose a tarp mainly for its versatility.
Yeah.
I will do things, well, most, if not all things with a tarp, compared to a tent or compared to an hammock. And I can still have the luxury to have a hammock, an independent one. I do have the luxury also to grab some trekking poles or whatever to make a tent out of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It really was a no-brainer.
Yeah. When I did the Arctic indoctrination course with the cadets, that we always used that was the ground sheet at that time, I think, or it was the poncho. But we made ourselves, that was part of the course, a pole to do the trekking pole, and that pole was our post for our tent. So we always carried that wooden stick, pole, and our poles for the tent. So we always had shelter, and all we needed, each of us, is a 6-foot length of rope with a stick. Shove that in the ground, put a rock on it if it was mush, and you had your tent up, and that was it. Wasn't the prettiest one once in a while because you didn't have the right condition, but it worked.
Well, and at the end of the day, excuse me, there are different contexts in which you want shelter, right? One is you're bushcrafting, you're out there enjoying the forest. Another is you're surviving, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, the first one is like, well, you know, I'm going to build this the way I like it, and, you know, I can take an hour or whatever. The second, I need a fucking shelter up. Oh, I just swore. I need a shelter up. You know,
You need it now.
I need it now, and I don't want to blow all my calories building it.
Yeah. And anyway, who the heck goes in the wood and has nothing?
Yeah, idiots.
Or let me rephrase that. Who the heck in his right mind goes in the woods and has nothing?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the base of you guys seen my new sign in the last video?
I haven't.
No.
I've made the battery is low. Turn the camera around. I'll go this way. You guys see me? Oops.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I see it.
Can you read it?
Yep.
Learn the basics, survive tomorrow?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Well, if you're doing bushcrafting, you're learning the basic So, do you bother not having anything with you, or do you just try? You can have a tent and sit beside the tent, make your other shelters, try the other stuff, and and build confidence in what you're doing first, and
Well,
then you train yourself.
Yeah.
well, what I'm carrying anyway each day, I doubt that I will get into the woods without anything.
Yeah.
My EDC is quite extensive, even for urban
Your
environment.
Yeah, your EDC is of epic proportions.
Well, yeah, I've made a keychain EDC, which I shed most of it in a bag because Jesus, that's 2 pounds of stuff. So I always carry a knife. I often have knives in my bags, folders. I'm not officially a collector of knife.
Here's my
Yeah,
keychain, and you won't
yeah,
see it much bigger than that.
yeah, yeah. I got too many keys, two house and access to my father's one, and a small knife, a flashlight, and but I've reduced it to basically beside the car key that has my apartment key. I'm down to this.
Okay.
So there's my house key at Quebec, the light, and the first aid respirator.
Yep.
And then on my car key, there's my apartment keys here in Montreal. So.
Yeah. Hey, Louis.
Yep.
Since you're in Montreal, and Simon is near Montreal, and I'm in NDG, at some point over the next few months, we gotta do a get together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you know where I work?
Where?
Straight downtown, which is not far from any of you guys.
What part of downtown? I mean, let's not get too exact since we're online.
Well, we can discuss this offline anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that the shelter
we're
subject
done,
has been
Yep.
has been sort of done. I think we're going to do another shelters video in a couple of months, like when spring comes around.
Yep.
See what people are thinking about at that point. Also, as I do more of these panel discussions, people will get used to them, and I'm hoping that we'll see more people will come on.
Maybe by that time I'll have a new computer that will want to log into the Hangouts, which I don't know why it didn't.
Okay, so to the viewers, I'd like to say thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Jess. Tonight we had Mike Morton on for a while, and we had Simon Forget on, even though he wasn't going to come on, but I'm glad you did. And we had LT Survival, which it's good to have you on. I was glad to see you. So from all of us, have a good night. You guys want to say bye to the viewers? No? Okay.
Good
Good night, everyone.
Next time, guys.